Hello everybody, welcome back to Wappelville, and welcome to, well, I guess this is almost, I know it's still October 1st here, technically, October 1st. I know it's October, well, let's start with something spooky here, little Bone Reapers here, your Ossiarch Bonereapers, Age of Sigmar. Just tossed up another quick base here that pretty much goes along with some of the bases that I've done. Let me see for some of the rest of the Bonereapers right here. You can see it more of the vampire counts bits there. Just a guy chilling out there, sitting there with his sword and his shield. Just kind of not so much with the skin and guts and all that other kind of stuff. We do have to decide though, and this is one of those spell effect type things, and I thought that could be interesting. We'll see. Obviously, spell effect type stuff here. What's this going to be? What's all this stuff right here? How much of this is bone? Because, well, and how much of it do we want to match to what we've got going on here? Do we want to do the green stuff as far as the glow, or do we want to do something different than that? Hey, Thistle, how are you doing? I hope that, well, actually, this is not super late here, so hopefully you won't have to stay up too late tonight. AM Tellies, how are you doing? And hopefully I've got sound. It looks like I do. Just according to my microphone indicator that's moving back and forth. So how are you guys doing? I'm going to start cutting me up some sponges over here. And I'll show you some of the stuff that we were working on today. Let's see. Just heading to bed in a bit. That's good. I think, you got to catch Kathy's stream earlier. She was working on her big old Cthulhu guy. I suppose that's sort of Halloween appropriate. But there's a couple of things that did show up over the last 2 days here. And it just happens to be gambling because, well, they had the big sale going on. So if you're wondering what's with all the gambling stuff, it just, well, they had a sale. But this right here, I was, now I'm glad MTEL it's going good there too. I was surprised at this. I was really, really surprised. I even made an oil brush, well, my own little container. Look, it's so darn new. I haven't even had a chance to put a label on it yet. But this stuff, it's very similar. Well, let's see. I don't want to say to the steel. I'm gonna say it's pretty darn close to. Is this the? Yeah, it is pretty darn close to this. Oh, hey, Esmedee, how are you doing? So I was really happy about that, and that bodes well because, well, I just put this episode up on the Patreon page, so Necrons, they are ready to go, and we don't just have one. We have two types. Oops, not that one. We have two types of silver to try out now, so that's going to be really cool. Yeah, that's going to be very fun. Now, some of the other new stuff, I'm going to just put him over here, I think, so I can get to him a little bit easier. These also showed up. Now, these are the real deal right here. This is not faux cadmium yellow. This is the genuine article right here. I'm also going to turn this light down just a touch. So, obviously, it has all of the usual warnings of cadmium, because so far, all I've ever had for cadmium yellow was, well, stuff like this, which is, see how it says hue on there? That just means it's not the real thing. The other stuff, it's not like it's terrible, but it has its disadvantages. Now, I also have this, which I've not used, and I didn't actually have a chance to make an oil brusher out of this, or one of my little mixes out of this yet. Oh, no problem, Armored Wolf. I think that's just going to be, a lot of people have been saying that. Heck, I don't even get notifications, it seems like half the time. I'm going to put some of this out here, even though I haven't had a chance to thin it down yet. This is another new thing, right? I have no idea if we're going to get a chance to use this or not. But I haven't used Prussian blue in, well, forever. So we got Prussian blue sitting in here. That's a nice juicy color. I would say this qualifies as a staining color. Oh, wow, it's only one pigment blue. Okay, so there's no phthalo blue in there. Now, we did also make ourselves, this is a genuine cadmium yellow deep right here. And this is the real deal. This container weighs a freaking ton. Somebody told me that you were alive. Yeah, MTOs, it's Twitch is just one of, I don't know what it is about that. It is just being really weird. Hey, mini day trader, how are you doing? So we're going to throw this out on the palette here. We have not had a chance to use, again, genuine cadmium yellow in quite a while here. So that's pretty cool. Here, let's just get that cap back on here. Now, I didn't have a chance to make all the oil brushes yet. I think there's still a little bit of our permanent yellow light. Now, the other thing, too, is that this cadmium yellow deep, I think it's actually not quite as deep as my other cadmium yellow is. I'm just going to compare the two here. Ah, yeah, you can see a significant difference. Well, I mean, a difference. So maybe their version of deep is not quite the same as this one. And it is. What is it? It's no big deal. Well, I'm glad. And Al Capone in the house. How are you doing? So, Al, we've got some new stuff that arrived. We have your quick dry white that you were talking about. Oh, let's just find a place to put some of these things. Then we've got some Prussian blue. We've got these two right here. So actual, genuine cadmium yellow, not the fake stuff, the real deal. And then there was this, and much to my surprise, it really is. It is not like the nasty stuff. It is more like the oil brusher in its consistency, which is fantastic because, and I think you saw this link. Boom, the Necrons are underway. Now, I had a blast with this basing technique, combining that triple hex roller with the Necron roller. That was a lot of fun. I did not mind doing that. It is finely ground. Now, I've already put it in one of here. We'll see how it holds up. I did do some test mixes with it just to see what the heck was going to happen. And it seemed to be pretty good and pretty darn close to, say, those MIG ammo products there. So I'm looking forward to that. Boy, most of these things are practically empty here. I'm going to have to refill some of these. Let's get the yellow pail out here too. So I got the quick dry. It is out on the palette, but I'm going to have to refill this one. This one's almost empty too. I guess we've been using oils just a little bit. Here, let's put out a little berry white green and see what happens. Let's see. So I hope, Al, I hope things are going okay for you. Yeah, let's just get some of this berry white green out here, then maybe a little bit of our phthalo green too. We have to figure out what's going to happen with this guy. How much of this is spell effect? Is the spell effect going to be the usual green, or do we make it some other color? I had thought about maybe some kind of a purple or whatever, but let's see. Busy but good for this, and yes, well, and folks, be sure to check out the Armored Wolf Etsy page and order more bags to make it so insanely busy that there is no time to breathe, because that would be a good thing, especially just with the way the current situation is. That would actually be very helpful. So definitely go check out the Armored Wolf Etsy page. Check out the Instagram page and look at all the really neat stuff. Oh, there is another new thing here. I never even had a chance to make an oil brusher out of this. My suspicion was that this is really close to brown matter, because these guys, they have a tendency to take colors that are already in existence and then just slap a different name on them. Now, I don't know if that's the case here. I suppose we're going to find out. Hey, Kit Quartz, how are you doing? There is never, ever enough dice. Well, I'm certainly not going to need that much of it. Did I put... I didn't... Oh, well, there's only one way to test these two side by side. And, of course, our brown matter is running pretty low, too. Wow, that's pretty darn similar. That is pretty darn similar. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would have serious trouble telling these two apart. So I would just kind of say that is brown matter right there. Oh, hey, Pixel Cat, how are you doing? Here, we're just gonna do a few little things here, get some more stuff set up here. It was a bit of a running around sort of a day, so I'm just gonna fill up the stuff on the palette here while I'm talking to you guys. We're just throwing out some Van Dyke Brown here. So we have some new colors here. We have that quick dry white. I thought I'd give that a try. I mean, we got our sponges right here, of course. We won't be using our silver here, but yeah, really pleased that the grind of the mica flakes is more like what's in here than, say, the Winsor Newton version, which was not so bueno. Can't stay long. I'm on Pacific time. Need to work tomorrow. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, we're just going to continue here. We got something spooky for October. We're going to be adding this to our Ossiarchs right here. And the question is, how much of him is going to be more of bones, and how much of the spell effect are we going to do? I also want to make sure here that we got some kind of a focus for you here. Let's just make sure that is, and I do believe it is now. We're also going to try out just a couple of new colors like this one. There's my Egyptian violet. I don't know where the heck that one went. And yellow ochre, which I know is another one that I'm going to have to fill up because it's practically empty. As you can hear the sound of no more yellow ochre, basically. That's pretty much that's the last of it right there. I mean, I got my tube, I can do that, but I was hoping to have just a wee bit more of that to use. Let's see if we can. There's our burnt umber. Oh, hey, Nolasky. Oh, let's see. It's got to be 6:49 for you, so another early morning occasion here. Set this aside. I think this is the brush that I was using to mix the Ye Old Prussian blue. That's another reason why that's doing that. Okay. Spell effect, spell effect, spell effect. What's going to happen? This is the thing that's the biggest mystery, is what happens with this cloak. I just have no idea yet. We'll figure it out along the way. Who the heck cares? It's not that big a deal. I think I missed some session. No, they just came in. Pixel Cat literally earlier today. The silver from Gamlin just came in. So I made an oil brush, well, my own little oil brush container. The first episode of the Necrons, that was posted, I don't know, an hour ago, something like that. So the basing episode's done. We're going to do a color test figure next. And actually I used the copper Stynores primer on that, that was kind of fun, actually. the only time I had used one of the metallic primers was when I was mixing it with, what's that stuff, with I don't even remember what the heck they're called. Oh, the ghost tints from Badger. Yeah, that's pretty much the last time I've used one of their metallic primers. Okay. It is 11:51 here. It's just one of these late night ones. Now the plan for tomorrow night is the usual time, more like a 6 o'clock start time, somewhere in that range. That's the plan. Pretty much the last 6 weeks. I mean, I'm used to my plans being shifted or altered. The last couple of months, my plans have just been completely nuked. So, when I say what a plan is, it's a plan, but the universe has had other plans, and the universe just has more cards than I do. as always, we are changing. Let's throw in some of our brand new. I'm telling you, it's practically brown matter right there. Boy, that's an intense color too. That's good. That's not a problem. So in Alaska, I hope everything is going okay over there. And well, to me, 6 o'clock in the morning lately has been when I go to bed. So just like last night, that's when I got to bed. There's just lots of things that had to be taken care of in those wee hours. And this is our usual pre-glaze here. We're not going to do a whole lot different here. I was thinking of just putting a little phthalo green there. I was also going to hit this with more of my, and I could still do that also. I mean, it's not like I'm limited to right now. I could hit it with some of my Liquitex Heavy Gloss Gel and just sort of sculpt some more, what would you say, a little ghostly shape into that, but whatever. I don't really care. I'm going to let this stuff have a chance to sit on here for a while, and then we'll take that away. But this, again, the spell effect stuff, what's all going to happen to this? Is it going to be more of a phthalo green? And if it is, let me see, was this the one? No. I'll save that one here. Just going to grab me another brush that I can use for this here pre-glaze stuff. Oh, hey, Gary, how's it going? I think, was it yesterday? I sent you off your links, so thanks again for joining the Patreon page there. And actually, I hope you got your first regular link to the new Necron series here. At least I hope you did. Oh, hey, Cosplaying Kitten, how are you doing? Wow, this is definitely on the later side. Now, did you just get finished doing a... I don't think I got a notification that you were streaming tonight. But folks, be sure to give Cosplaying Kitten a follow as well.
So say we all. So say we all.
Now, Pixel Cat is doing the stuff. Pixel Cat doing the stuff early on here. Well, we will, for all the gift subs, here, we'll just let that fall into the glass here. Oh, and look, it's very appropriate. It's spooky. It's Halloween. The virus spread more, and they're thinking. And thanks again, Pixel Cat, for all of the the gift subs there. Yes, I've been, well, Armored Wolf and I have been trying to talk sense into people about what their expectations are, at least as far as convention things and stuff go for next year. Unfortunately, people kind of have sort of a hope versus what the reality is going to actually be. And I'm just, let's just put it this way. I believe that I will be streaming a whole bunch on Twitch for the next many, many months to come. So you are stuck with me. That's the takeaway from it, is that you guys are all stuck with me for a long time. Even when I'm not actually doing this, I will still be in your head telling you all about oils and stuff. And thanks again, Pixel Cat. Oh, hey, Liquid Nebula, how are you doing? Now, the thing that I think some of you have heard me talking, one of the things I really, really, really hope to be able to do, as much as I love the painting stuff, I am hoping that maybe there's a chance for me to do some kind of live streaming of some Lord of the Rings games or something like that. I just thought that could really be fun, especially if it's something along the lines of painting and playing or whatever. I thought that could maybe be something interesting too. So I'm just gonna pop in some of this because I still see spell effect stuff happening all the way up into here. all the way up into here, and I'm just wondering, can we basically turn this from bone to spell effect? Let me see. Bum bum bum. Well, it's and I'm not going to go any further than this. Just with based on my experience in 2002, where conventions were not canceled, nobody showed up for various reasons, whether it was fear or the economy or whatever. Nobody went to conventions in 2002, and that was a far less worldwide event that had happened the previous year, and that's what turned us into miniature painters. In many ways, what's going on now turned me into a Twitch streamer, because I'd probably still be doing YouTube lives right now if it wasn't for what happened. So it is going to have that dramatic of an effect. Yep. I'm just let's just say that Twitch is definitely, I am really glad there's something like this. Because, well, I mean, it's fun. It's really fun to actually be able to do this and have people to interact with. No, thanks, Pixel Cat. Yeah, it's what I'd like to do, and we always used to call this paint and play. Now, it's Lockie Zorpazorp on his YouTube channel. He basically will stream himself. He's painting stuff, and then he'll go over to his table, and he'll maybe take some of the stuff that he was just painting, and he would use it in a game. And I thought that could really, really be interesting. I paint up a couple more Easterling archers or something like that, and then we have a fun game of Lord of the Rings. It involves moving a whole lot of furniture and other things, so that remains to be seen how that's going to play out. So I think we've positioned some of this reasonably well. Let's start removing some paint here. See how much is coming off. So these are just vampire counts bits here for folks that haven't necessarily seen that. Let's see, that's why I paint and love to see some of yours. And well, yeah, that's now Pixel Cat. I think you've seen some of the battle reports that I did on the YouTube channel. I did what, four bolt action battle reports. Oh man, those were a ton of work. They were a ton of work, but man, did I enjoyed the heck out of those. And what could really be fun is that you guys could actually just kind of, instead of me trying to record it, and it takes forever. I mean, it took me something along the lines of 11 or 12 hours just to film and edit those four battle. Each one took 11 hours. And I'm thinking, well, I could play 3 games in an 11-hour Twitch session. I mean, that's crazy how much that took. And well, guess what? You'd still end up with something that's a video at the end of it anyways. So you can see, look at that, the staining of the green. It still is going to give me something left over there. And well, you know me, you know how much I love terrain. Oh, look at this. Look what's happening here. Look at that. It's not just scraping away the paint, it's depositing some over here. That's why we did the browner stuff first on the base. Now here I am just going to remove some of them. Maybe not all of it. Maybe not all. I'm just going to start pushing this stuff around. Again, I have no idea how this is going to play out. Maybe none of this is green by the end of this. Who knows? I think with the channel point reward being one, well, let's see now. I don't know how much of your channel points you'd want to spend on something when you already know what the result's going to be. You know that if I roll a 1 and you say, re-roll that, you know what the result's going to be. And you already know that there are no other results besides ones. But in all seriousness, well, Armored Wolf, you've seen some of like the Zoltaris, what is it, Xanalos Project, and what's the other one, Pyro Club, where you can purchase hinders. So the people that are fans of Mordor, yeah, Pixel Cat Force are out now. I don't know if you guys have seen, but what they do is that people can, with their chat points or whatever, buy hinders or helps. So, let's say you've got something like Easterlings versus those little Gondor wussies or something like that, and you could spend your chat points for some reason to help the little Gondor wussies or whatever against the beloved Easterlings, betraying the one true master of Middle Earth in the process, of course, never a good idea, which is me. But that's something that could be really interesting because, or they, I think they use it like to roll for advantage or something like that. So you can force them to re-roll a dice or something like that. Oh, hey, Rancid Vomit, how are you doing? So you can see how staining that phthalo green is. Pretty wild. Now let's do some umber, some of this, some of this. And we're just going to hit ourselves a bit more of our, not a whole bunch of this to actually hit now that I'm doing this here. But we'll take some of this away too. Now, as you can see, we're kind of going over the top of this. Gotta figure out what's gonna, that's what we'll use, the Egyptian violet on this. Yes, that's what we'll do. Boy, I'm glad that just kind of popped into my head at the last minute there. That would have been unfortunate. So as dark as that green is, it's already starting to look like a little bit of a glow. I'll catch you later, Thistle. I hope you get a decent night's sleep. But that is definitely something I wanna try. It is where people can, try and do an assist for mortar. Now, of course, there would have to be some sort of thing where not every single roll is being changed, because, well, I mean, someone might actually be able to get a whole bunch of points, or if 3-4 people spend points in a row, I think there'd have to be something where there is no re-roll of a re-roll. It just, that result stands. Is there any more of this? I'm just looking around here, see if there's any more of that bone core that I should be... there's some over here. And again, not a whole bunch of it because there's a lot more of this spell effect intertwined with them than I thought, so that's enough. I don't know how much I'm going to get to use of that purple matter, but maybe we will. That's the other thing I forgot, is more paper towels. I knew I was forgetting something. I kind of used up my supply trying to make the oil brushers. Or my own oil brushes, I suppose I should say. Let's see. I think we're all caught up now. There's our wonderful Egyptian violet there. Absolutely love that stuff. Absolutely love that. And we'll let that also have a wee bit of a chance to do its wonders on this and kind of stain it a little bit. Not sure how much we'll put on the back here. I don't know. Again, with the oils, if I don't like something, I'll just take the sponge and I can wipe pretty much the whole darn thing off of there too. Let's see, have you ever painted a miniature from Corvus Belli Infinity? The last one that I can remember painting was back in either 2005 or 2006. You can actually go onto the blog. There is a whole Infinity section, and obviously for now I don't know the game all that well, but let's just say the last time I was painting Infinity stuff, Pan-Oceanians and oh gosh, whoever the American-looking guys were, those were about the only factions that were out there. So yeah, there were no tags or anything like that. That was the guys in the kilts were, I think, like one of the new factions. So that was a wee while ago, because there was that was some commission stuff that I did way 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 back in the day, and there's never been a request to paint it since, unfortunately. Whoa, that's kind of mixing nicely there with our phthalo green. Yeah, I think, and now they've got, well, there's the bikes now, right? And I'm sure there's a, well, maybe is it Hak Islam that has the a lot of the cloaked type guys, right? I would guess. Like I said, I am way 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 far behind on anything Infinity as far as, well, the last time I was painting Infinity Corvus Belly, they had a fantasy line of figures, and I was actually painting more of their fantasy line than I was of the Infinity stuff. That goes back a wee ways. All right, so okay. Now I'm also going to look at my white balance here to see if I can make that be a little bit more red. There we go. The fourth edition just came out last week. Now I assume it's still working the same way with how terrain is with those heights or those profiles or whatever. And it is very much a vertical game as well, still, I assume. I think one of the reasons people liked it a lot was there was a lot of terrain had a big impact in the game, and I think everyone knows how much I love terrain and how much I love terrain that actually also has an impact on the game. Let's see. Sorry I was out and about. Infinity Oils would be awesome. Never played, but they're. I think I've never had a chance to paint any of the bikes, obviously, because those were not out. I remember years ago painting some of the very first tags that they did. I think that's what they call them. But I think that might have been 2006 or whatever. There we go. Yeah. All right, let's not forget this stuff here, and we were trying to just let this. So, ooh, yeah. Very nifty. Scrape some of this. Oh, look at see how it keeps the green, but it's also mixing it with the brown. Now, I have to be a little bit on the gentle side with this because I did not have a whole lot of time for prepping this guy here. So, and I basically ran out of super glue as I was assembling the base. I was just literally trying to pirate containers of whatever last drops of super glue I could find here and there. So that's something I have to try and get more of tomorrow. Terrain is still super important. The new starter sets have proper cardboard buildings with them now. The snap fit ones. That's good. That was, I think it was maybe 3 years ago. Some Infinity aficionados, they didn't realize that at one point I had painted Infinity stuff, and they had asked me about it, and they said, "Oh yeah, they really try hard to actually improve the game, whereas some other systems maybe are focused on, well, we'll change the game to make these things sell." And I do believe that they were kind of, people liked that. So this is kind of neat. Look at what's happened here. This is a new thing. I actually got to, look at this. Look at all that green that got in here. That's what I was hoping would happen, but there's a lot of brown that stayed behind, and I have a feeling because, well, our Williamsburg version of brown matter and the respect the umber, baby. We respect the umber. Let's see. What do we, Schmame Schmirk Shop, I believe, is the name of a certain company that might have a tendency to alter rules or blow up universes to create things that might be a little more powerful and therefore more desire a purchase. Nah, they would never ever do that. But look at the difference. Look at this green right here. Actually, I'm going to snap me a quick little picture of this if I can, and I'm going to maybe even use that light. Now my camera is buried underneath sponges and paper towels. So don't mind me doing a little bit of this here, because this could be interesting to see later on. There. Just a couple of quickies. Turn that off. More privateer press. Yes, that's I was even surprised to see them at Gen Con last year, just based on just the reaction to people and stuff. It's I guess so weighted towards the competitive side of things that painting didn't matter. Well, most everything didn't matter anymore. Alright, so again, we're just going to give the brush a thorough cleaning right here. Look at that. Let's do this one too. And as you can see, these are ancient veterans basically at this point here. Now what I am going to do is play around with that quick dry white in some way, shape, or form. Not quite sure what form that's going to take yet. Also, I do think we're going to have some glowy stuff here. And maybe not quite the warm, glowy stuff either. Maybe something a little cooler here. So, I don't know. Let's see what happens. If it's too... If it doesn't look... Interestingly enough, we can make it warmer. We got genuine cadmium yellow here now. Let's see. Sorry if I'm jumping from topic to topic. Let's see. I watched your oil brushes video, and you said the Optolong oils were. Well, where the heck is it? Now, I still have those, and look at this. So I still have those, and ironically enough, I was going to do a Patreon video where I test this stuff out, because people said all the stuff that I hated about them, they said that this would solve that. However, as you can see, it's got the whole gamut of nasty things in it, which none of my stuff actually really has. So that's why I don't really recommend this for people, because if this is the only way you could literally get this thing to work and not be terrible, it becomes kind of an unusable product. Now, you can watch the YouTube live episode where I was painting these guys, and I just thought maybe it was the miniatures. But then as I was painting these guys, I said, no, it wasn't the miniatures. It was the Optolungs that were the problem. So, I mean, these things were so much fun to paint. With the Optolungs, it was a nightmare. It was excruciating. Now you could also mix those in with other stuff. So for instance, well, I'm going to be mixing this oil brusher with all these regular oil paints here. So it always definitely not lost. You could mix them with other things. So yeah, definitely don't, I wouldn't, I would not fear that you would never ever be able to use those again. And who knows, you give them a try, you may like them. You may actually love the fact that, that the glossiness or just how they work, that might be a consistency you like. So yeah, don't just set them aside. I would have used the Optolungs sooner myself again, but there was no way I could because, well, all the craziness hit, and then I just had to start using my own stuff. So yeah, definitely don't feel like those are just unusable, or in Age of Renaissance, the crazy game that nobody else has ever heard of except us. They are not an unplayable misery burden. You could still conceivably use those. So again, this is the quick dry white. I'm just trying it out here to see what happens with it. Boy, that's really picking up. That really picks up some of those other colors fast. Oh, look at that. Look at how that blends in there so nice. Huh? That's not terrible. Yeah, I was so looking forward to those. And I had a bunch of them too. I had a whole bunch of them. And I used them and I went, ooh. At first I just thought, well, this is me using them wrong. Which, you know. And then I thought, well, wait a second. What paint is there that you use it wrong to where it just almost doesn't work at all? And then once I was told, well, you kind of need to have this stuff with it, that's when I said, ooh, I don't know about that. That's kind of rough. Now again, we can't just have all this mystical shielding here that's not going to also put some light over here. They don't have anything to compare them to. Oh, hey, Browntown Games, how are you doing? Now, see, the benefit that you sort of have, and think of it this way, I had expectations for them. Because what I was expecting is that they would act like these. Basically, I think what they did was that they found a way to make these, you know, that stuff I showed you, that container with all the nasty diamond-shaped warnings. I think they figured out a way to make that stuff without having all of the craziness in it. So I think that's the difference there. Because those Optilungs, those came, I believe, before the oil brushers did. So Browntown Games, I hope everything's going all right. Look at how that turns an interesting shade of blue right there. So I really don't need the interference color like I was using on the Ossiarch, on the regular infantry and the cav there. So I like the idea of just a little bit of the greenish glow down here. I think it just kind of gives it an aura. But I want to do up here, as you can start to see, we're going to do some more of that bone stuff up there, and it's going to give a warmth to it, and that should come forward. And this is going to be another case of that cool green should go to the background. The warmer stuff comes forward. At least that's the theory. We'll see if it plays out that way. Oh, I didn't know that this is all that I saw. Where the heck did it go? I didn't see the fast mat. I just, this is all I saw was this one right here. Let's see, titanium dioxide. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, I thought it was quick dry white. Well, we'll find out if it works. We'll find out. Again, I don't expect it to make any kind of difference in anything we're doing here tonight, unless, nah. I mean, if this was a Saturday extravaganza where I was going to do this for 10, 11 hours or something like that, then you might see it play out. Yeah, a little berry white green here. What the heck? We'll mix it with some of that crazy, fast, quick drying, whatever. So yeah, making this cooler, I think, should be interesting. Looks like there's some in here too. Okay. What I also was hoping to do is have sort of a bit of an interior glow here. And if we're going to do that, let's, we'll just use one of our other, here, let's get some more of these guys here. Let's try, what the heck? Well, we'll employ the quick dry white again, and we'll see what happens when we combine it like this and like this. Make that much more of a glazy type of a thing here, and we will just fill that in like so. Let's see, I'll toss in some of the fast mat. Oh, and the cure pack. Okay. Oh, well, thank you. That'll be, it never hurts that. That's why, with the Necrons, what I was hoping to do, can you see? Yeah, you can see that. Is to actually, before I even start the color test figure, to do a, what would you call it? Sort of a color chart type of thing, like we've been doing with the red and the blue and everything. And just see how that plays out. Now, see? Look at that already. Because this is darker, I mean, it's just like it's happening all by itself. And then it's going to shove some of this in here. Shove some of this in here. Ooh, wow, there is some neat stuff happening here. There is some interesting stuff going on, I gotta say. Yeah, some fun things already. Oh, I'll get to the film noir. Oh, we got some other questions. I was wondering how important the primer is. Oh, geez, the primer actually is crucial, and Steinorez. This is the thing right here, and this is actually what I was using on the Necrons here. This copper. What I used on this one was mostly just this. So again, Steinorez. Now, if you're in Europe and you say, "Oh boy, I don't know if I can get the Steinorez," what's it called? MIG Ammo one-shot primer is basically Steinorez. Now, they may not have quite the selection of colors that say you do with the Steinorez, but yeah, that's the Badger primer. That's going to help you out. Let's see, Day Trader never played 40K, but we'll look at my first game with the dice bag. Oh, there we go. And even my miniatures with the paint lessons. There we go. Look at this. So now we can already think about it. I'm just going to get my camera controls here. So look at this. We're like basically a half an hour into the painting. You're already starting to see some values here. Already starting to see some values. I think you can see, look at how that's already beginning to stand out here. Yeah, look what's happening here. It's kind of like an interior glow, right? And this is nowhere near white. We can go lighter than this. We can most certainly go lighter than this. But you can see how like the interiors are getting lighter here. Oh, hey, Robosh, how are you doing? Yeah, so Nolaski, just look at the Badger stuff. See how difficult it might be for you to get. And if it's difficult, then just look at the, the MIG Ammo one-shot primer, because that is made by Badger. Because I was in the Badger factory and I saw jars of one-shot primer. So yes, it is. Yes, MIG Ammo. It's their name on it, but where it's made, well, that's where it's made. And I hope that's kind of helpful for you. Yeah, because we stopped using years ago. We stopped using the Vallejo primer because we thought it's Vallejo, right? We thought that's good primer. We found out that ain't good primer. That is not the good stuff, unfortunately. I've got a bunch of jars of it that will never ever be used because, well, except maybe for terrain. Aside from terrain, they'll never get used. So yeah, I think you can see now. Let's bring back our. Let's bring back. Look at that. Look at what that does. Bang. Ah, okay. Now that I guess it's a. This is one other thing I would suggest is that you always want to order the Badger, well, any kind of primer, but especially the Steinores. Order it before it has a chance to freeze on a plane somewhere, or in transport, because sometimes that happens to primer. It will freeze. Well, any paint can freeze. So Gary, when you're doing this stuff here, wiping things away, if you have a weak primer, like something like a Vallejo primer, you'll just, like what's happening to Alaska, you'll just be wiping away the primer too. And the Steinores, I put that through absolute torture, and it has withstood all of that torture. I mean, I really, really, really am rough on the primer, and it works great on bones. It works great on resin, metal, restic. What's that stuff? The 3D printed stuff. Heck, there's even, well, I don't know if he's officially released that. It was supposed to at Adepticon, but he had a primer that basically the idea is that you could use it on the 3D printed stuff on the FDM printers, and it would hide some of those striations that you see. It would kind of fill some of those in. Now, let's see, if you're in the UK, it is also Ultimate Modeling Products. Okay. Now, Numbskull. Numbskull in the house. How are you doing? Oh, he's going to get that. He's going to get that. He says, I ain't afraid. Oh, oop. He says, I think I'm afraid of ghosts. Especially big bony ghosts. Yep, like Al says, the Steinores is just way, way, way stronger. Because we started wondering what we were doing wrong. We said, wait, are we not washing things? And then we said, well, wait a minute. This is happening on resin, plastic. It didn't matter what the surface was. And that's when we found out that no, it wasn't us. It was the primer that was being weak. And ever since we started using the Steinores, we have not had those kind of issues at all. Look at see, it's starting to build up here. Yeah, I'm trying to think, when did we really stop using the Vallejo stuff? I think it was a good 5, 6 years ago, something like that. We started saying, oh yeah, this stuff just not working for us. Yeah, see a little bit of phthalo green in here now. Yeah, we're getting some nifty things going on. I wish these pieces back here were a little bit more subtle than they are. We might have to put some more little lightning things in between there. Like Numbskull says, Steinores, it's premium. From Germany, so the MIG price. Yeah, that's. I try to always have an. Well, like, okay, here we go. So if you can't get the stuff that I use for thinning, what is that called? The Mona Lisa stuff. This is what I started with. And the only reason I got the other stuff is because it was easier for me and it cost less. This would probably be easier for you to get. And actually, while you're getting that, yeah, toss this in your cart because this stuff's really good too. I love this stuff. So yeah, that's and there's a bunch of other good MIG ammo stuff that I really like. And oh, maybe get yourself some oil brushers. Yes, yes, yes. Like maybe like the aluminum oil brusher, something like that, because we'll be using those on the Necrons. Oh, hey, Rex. No, I haven't tried. Geez, I didn't even know scale 75 made. I've used, I think, maybe 4 or 5 scale 75 paints. Period. We tried a couple of them, and it's just like, especially since Reaper paint. That's really what we use is the Reaper paints. We said we just kind of didn't really use any of the scale 75 stuff. All right, I think we're starting to really fill things in now. What's going to happen with these guys here? That's the next question is, are we going to fill those in? Only one way to find out. Again, if we don't like it, it ain't that hard to change it. Not that hard. We are going to need ourselves a fair amount of our liquid in this, though, because we want to have that whole pin line wash effect going on. We'll just start over here and see what happens. Boy, the oil sure as heck make that easier. Yes, Gary. Let's see. I think it's in the was it the red? Not red. Those styrene syndicate. Yes, it's called Gill's Shopping Network. Because what would happen is that he'd be using something, and people would say, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And it's like, "Uh-oh, Gill's Shopping Network," and everybody would say, "Hide your wallets, hide your wallets." So we're just trying to maybe hint at a little bit of greenish glow here. We're going to do this before we do all the other stuff too. Let's see. Oh, hey, Captain Caveman, how are you doing? We're having some fun here with some more of our, yeah, and I've got the bird. He's also prepped. I did not have a chance to put him on a base because, again, literally there was not a drop of super glue for me to use. It was all gone. I made so many basing videos that there was none left. It was all gone. So I will try to get some more tomorrow. Yes, I'm kind of liking the idea of that glow, and we can make that glow brighter too. We're just gonna we'll let that do its thing for right now. That is good enough. Let's see. So how are you doing there, Captain Caveman? I hope that all is well with you. Where's that? There it is. Just it's got a weird having this whole the whole quick dry white thing. Here, let's get Mr. Orc Skull and some of these other things here. Let's get a little bit more of our light on those. And like I said, who knows? I might take some more of my Liquitex heavy gel at a certain point and just hit that again. Make some more stuff there. Yeah, let's start to lighten this again. Light touch on the brush. Very light touch on that brush. It's also got to be dry. We'll even dry it on a paper towel if we have to. Let's see. I think we're all caught up on the chat. Every so often I'm throwing in a little touch of that berry white green as well. Here, let's get this here and see how fast that turns purple. We have to go back. We got to get some more. Go back and get some more. Yeah, this is going to have some on here. And two, if the oil paint dries, well, you're just fine because it's. I think we on some of the Corvus Cabal, right? We're working on some of those that were already dry, and we will do all kinds of nifty things on that. So again, also this green, yes, it's green, but this is by no means any kind of a light coat. Look at, I mean, there it is next to our white. This is looking like a highlight here. That is by no means a highlight. Let's see, Ultimate and Badger in the USA. Well, that's good, Robosh. That would really, really help folks out, that's for sure. Now, unfortunately, that is something that I would normally hear directly from Ken, but, well, we've been kind of separated, unfortunately, by all of the craziness there. So, oh, those are actually metal. Interesting. Didn't realize that. All right, so the ends of those claws apparently are some kind of metal. Just keep hitting some of this green. So I'm thinking the undersider is going to have definitely more of the green. And you can hear me scraping that brush in there. Let's just have a nice little green to purple blend here. Why not? Oh, Gamer's Plot. I don't know anything about Warhammer or that type of painting. Oh, well, thanks. Well, no, I don't know if you've seen. I used to do for many, many years. I did 2D art. And I used to do pastels and oils and watercolors and all that sort of stuff. So what was it, about 4 years ago? Well, pretty much exactly 4 years ago now, when I first started to use oils on miniatures. It was really fun because I felt like I was going back to my old 2D art roots. Now let me see if I can find some. It's been a while since I've actually shown some of the old 2D art here. I'm going to change my screen around just a touch here so I can get to it. Where's the old art? Here we go. So back in the day, this is a watercolor on hot press watercolor board. So is that. Now we're into our pastels here. I loved pastels. That's something I will probably never ever get a chance to use again. There's a Space Cape with no airbrush, just regular brushes. And this was me as a 13-year-old kid who had no clue what he was doing, using oils. I still say I might have to paint that scene again or something like that. Just knowing what I know now, oh my gosh, it'd be so much easier. But look at all these fun little blends we're getting here. Well, that's the other. Oh, that has been the challenge. I've been challenged to do a Bob Ross landscape on a cloak, or we could do a mural. I mean, people ask if I missed a 2D art, but I still get to do it. You know, that's a base. We could do a Bob Ross style landscape on a base, or on a mural behind something. That could happen. So we're just continuing. We're just again building in some of these lights here. And then at a certain point, we'll move away from this. We'll move towards doing some other colors with the bone and everything. But look at how it picks up all that color. So we'll just take our paper towel here. We will wipe some of that out of there. Oh, hey, D8, how are you doing? Oh, thanks. Thanks, GamerSpot. There's another painting that I'm desperately trying to find, and it was my favorite one that I did as a kid. It was a sailing ship. I absolutely loved my sailing ships. And I still have not been able to find that painting. So if I ever find it, I will make sure I will take the pictures of it so that I can put it up on the screen for you. I just hope one day I can find that darn thing. And it kills me because I used to look at every single day, just within the last year. I would walk by it every single day, but it just things have gotten moved around a lot here. Because I think it was when I was trying to make room for the 3D printers, that's when it got moved, and I haven't seen it since. Well, Gary has to start work. Well, thanks again for joining. Now, let's see, maybe a mural of Bob Ross, painting a Bob Ross landscape, or sculpt a Bob Ross or convert something into a Bob Ross miniature and make a little easel for him and have him doing the happy little. Here's it, the happy little orc town with all the happy little orcs before they head off to eat all of the happy villagers, because that's what they do. Let's just, yep, why not? Throw a little bit more of our greenish color there. And again, I'm just trying to match some of the purple that's in here. And you can see we're already, and we haven't had any lights to the bone area yet, so I think we got some fun stuff that we can do here. Now, how much more? Oh, what the heck? Let's just have some of that go out here. I was just having a conversation with, oh, it's got to be on the sword blade. That's metal. Better have some over here. Just having a conversation with somebody. There's a video that they want me, well, a series of videos they want me to record, and I said, look, you definitely, if there's any object source lighting in there, first of all, it's the first thing we do is put in the object source lighting. Second of all, any object source lighting at all makes an army take way less time by a factor of several magnitudes. That's for sure. Just trying to steal some more of my green in here. Yeah, there's some nifty stuff going on here. Trying to preserve as much of that as I can. It's just an interesting blend that from the green to the purple. So before we get too wrapped up in just this, what I'm going to do is maybe grab myself another brush here and think about putting in some of that purple here, or a lighter Egyptian violet, I should say. Where did you go? I think it's this thing here. Egyptian violet. Oh, what the heck. Let's try some of that quick drying white and see what happens. Oh, hey, Gumbotron.
Spark my ganja.
Thanks, Gamerspot, for the follow. That's appreciated. Obviously, Gandalf appreciates it too. Ooh, look what that does. Ah, look at that, how that quickly changes. Yeah, so how you doing, Gumbotron? At least, at least, let's see, we're only an hour into this, so you don't have to worry about us going off to raid somebody. We're not going to be doing that. Oh, yeah, Rex. Think of it this way. Well, I mean, you can go back and watch, some of the other object source lighting videos like this. All of this stuff, I didn't have to even think about what color that was supposed to be. There was no armor to paint there. There was no marble to paint here. There was just that glow. There was just that glow. Now, put it across an entire army here. Let's take a look at the Sisters of Battle here. You see across that whole army, how much of that was just me painting orange? Different lightnesses of orange. That saved a whole bunch of time. There was no gold to worry about. There was no green. There was just, oh, yeah, we're just going to paint orange here. So hopefully that answers the question there, Captain Caveman. And well, take a look what's happening here. This is just an hour, and we've got all of this fun lighting here, because what happens is the oils are mixing, and it's basically providing you, or me, I suppose it's me, with all of this really fun instantaneous color here. Just all kinds of fun color mixes. I mean, we can keep doing this here. I'm going to even go over here, grab me, no, where's one of those filbert brushes here? I think I must have stuffed them down here somewhere. Let's see if we can find a couple of them. Here, let's try this. okay. And we're just gonna try that, your fast acting white here. Just pop this in here directly, yeah. Get rid of some of the extra here. And once we're using, see that sort of semi-circular brush stroke there? So that's already starting to change. Let me see. I find painting with those a lot faster in a lot of ways. Well, it definitely is. Yeah, it's all about the, obviously, drying time, not so much. But boy, when it comes to, there's so many things that you don't have to fight with. Think of all those things that you normally have to fight with. But with the oils, it just basically says, "No, I got you. Don't worry about it. Just let me take care of the scary stuff. I'll do it." Now, I also want to have just not only the purple there. I'm going to get some of this red in here. There we are. And it's going to look more like a sort of a pinkish color here in some places. So see how we're changing the temperature of the purple here in some areas. That's a big old area. We don't want that. And this is where the oils really are handy, because it's so easy to make these little changes like this. Just so much easier. See, see, as it almost looks like it's color shifting now because of that little bit of red in there. Let's see, Bullos, do you use natural hair brushes? I use the exact same brushes for everything all the time, so I have been using mostly my number 8 round craft brushes, and I'll be using my synthetic Cotman brushes right here. I've gotten these. These are basically the poor man's Winsor Newton Series 7 right here. This is the Dick Blick, sort of, again, it's like a 1/3 the price or so of a typical Winsor Newton Series 7. So the oil paints are way gentler on your brushes. And I know people don't like it when I put it this way, but the worst thing for your brushes is acrylic paints, because all of that nasty junk gets down in the ferrule here and it dries in there. And that is really the thing that destroys your brushes, is that paint drying down in the ferrule, unfortunately. Nolaski, there's no one color that's best. I basically have run out of pretty much everything of the Steiner's, except for things like what is this? Is this the light flash? Yeah. Basically, with the oils, this is what I kind of tend to use the most, because we do the pre-glaze anyway, right? So I guess if you're going to get one, that's really not a bad one to get right there with the light flash. I also actually do like the ebony color a lot. That's one of my favorites. But the slate blue is actually a nice one. And what's the other one that I like to use? Oh gosh, it's actually, there's a nice kind of rust orange color that I use for, well, vehicles and terrain a lot. That's a really nice one. Let me see. I found white primer is a pig to spray, so I always use the black or green. Oh, the Baron. Hey, Baron, how are you doing? We're having ourselves some fun with a little Ossiarch action right here. Now we're going to try and get some stuff in here that is not just the greenish glow. We're going to do a little bit here with our ochre. Start to think about some of these guys down here too. Again, not just only the greenish glow. Let's get something else going on here too. We'll do more other things on this as well as we move along here. It just we are in the opening round here. Just trying to figure out what we want to do. This is the nice thing about the oils is you don't have to have some super specific plan. You don't have to be like a Cylon and have a plan. Let's see there. We're able to, on that rip guy, look at this. Boy, I tell you, if I had the oils when I was doing my Tomb Kings back in the day, that whole army, oh my god, that would have taken, instead of the better part of a year, that would have taken months at most. It would have taken me longer just to build a display board than it would have to paint the whole rest of the army. Let's make sure we have a little touch of it. Oh, let's use our brand new cadmium yellow for the very first time.
Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Rawhide, for the follow. That is appreciated. Ooh, yeah, that's got some punch to it, as you would expect, being, well, genuine cadmium yellow. I'm gonna have to remember now not to say faux cadmium yellow. I've been training myself to say that for so long. And you can see now the difference that is going to make. It is no longer quite so greenish anymore. It is by no means any sort of a light color either. Well, there's an awful lot of metal in some of these things here. Interesting. On his hands, fingers, whatever. Hey, Felonius, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, I had to wait until a video uploaded, so that was the newest Necron. Where the heck did it? Here it is. So I had to wait for this to upload here first, and also had to try and wait for all of this stuff to dry here, all the stuff on the base that I added on him. So yeah, and this is interesting. So this is the StynoRes copper primer right here, and that's what we're going to be doing our TMM on top of. Just adding in some more of my lights here. And a lot of that's just going to be, there's going to be an awful lot of object source lighting here, yes, because, well, he is the source of the light. Which also means that we don't want him to be, we want him to be dark enough here too. We want things to be getting too light. We want light enough to get some shape and shading here. But you can see how we're letting some of that initial color build back in there. No, thanks, Flonius. This is way more interesting than I was expecting it to be. I guess maybe I think I was only really looking at the four-headed version of these spell things, and then I saw this guy, and I thought, well, actually, this guy's kind of neat here, and the bird is really cool too. Let's see. Series is how expensive the color's in. Once let's see. Series is major. Let's see. Okay, there's a little information back and forth there. I was just trying to see if there was somebody that had asked me a question about something. And you can see we're using this as a filbert brush, and you can see the very gentle brush stroke that we're going to apply here. I mean, we're practically just using these two fingers. And remember, we haven't even started doing anything that would just remotely resemble something that's detailed. We're going to be doing some more dark glazes back into here. We got to figure out, okay, are we going to put some kind of reddish color in the shield? Something to make it a little bit different maybe from everything else. We got our indigo blue here. Let's start to get something other kind of grays in here besides just the greenish gray and that sort of yellowish gray. So I took a little bit of our faded ultramarine, also known as just blue-gray. Not the most interesting color name in the history of color names, but, well, that's interesting. We're almost getting sort of a yellow ochre here out of the cadmium yellow slash burnt umber mix. I'm also gonna, just for funsies here, I'm gonna, woof, wow. So that is that quinacridone brown or whatever from Williamsburg that I suspect is brown matter. That's a nice little intense color there. Yeah, so we're gonna get ourselves some, wow. Yeah, so I just stabbed my brush in here, and some of the oxide paste that earth paste that is actually still wet. It's still dry in there, so we can only poke at this thing so hard. And that was one of the reasons why we're later here, because I was trying to give that as much time to dry as I could. But it's really, really, really thick there. It's probably almost a ½ an inch thick in some spots. So, see, now we're starting to get a little bit warmer out there. How's about we take some of this crazy thing, and we're just going to pop a little, ooh, yeah. So again, it's another one of those things where we don't want it to be lighter here, but we want to have, we need contrast. Well, if we're going to have some kind of greenish light source, if we have some kind of this nifty sort of reddish orange brown here opposing that, there's a nice little way to get some contrast. Yeah, see what that's doing? All of a sudden now the greens that are in that rib cage, look at how those go to the backdrop there. Look at that. And that was just taking our new cadmium yellow deep, brand spanking new. I just mixed that bottle earlier today, maybe at 40 minutes before I started here. Blue-gray is interesting as I-70 through Kansas. Yes, the vista of all those mountains there that rise to, what, ½ a foot above sea level? Those vast mountain ranges of Kansas there. So that's, look at how the some of the bones start to stand out just a little bit. Now look at how much of that green we're picking up there. Always got to be aware of that. No, actually, that is just the, what is that? The Egyptian violet. So Egyptian violet, and then the phthalo green was just sort of mixing into that. And that's all it is. It's really nothing more than that. What's interesting is that the yellow was getting too yellow, and then I let this new, well, essentially brown matter mix with that, and it gives me just enough of a reddish kick here. Look at that. And as you can see here, look at all the nifty reds in the, but there's some green, there's some blue-gray, lots of different things going on there. Sorry, I just have to, the stupid zipper on this sweatshirt is basically banging into the microphone, so it was literally just a few weeks. I still have, well, not empty bottles, but I have bottles of water here that were just, I want to say within 10, not even 10 days ago, were filled with ice just to try and keep this room cooler. And the heat has been going on the last 3 days. Ooh, look at that. It's almost like an orange. We're really kind of pushing the envelope here now. Darn near using an orange. Well, it's more of a ruddy orange-brown, I guess. But that's going to make some of our greens start to stand out more just by default. We're not going to use it everywhere. Not using that absolutely everywhere. We are going to hit some of these guys with it too. Even the sword here. We're going to get this, whatever the heck this thing is. These are, it's not just the GW skull box. It's also the some of the vampire count skulls. See, now all of a sudden this guy here takes on a different appearance.
Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Board Gamery. Thank you again. Gandalf obviously appreciates that too. There we are. See, it's just starting to get a nice little something different besides only the green. I don't know how much of it's going to get onto there, but all right, let's see. We have to decide, is the green going to be just lighter on top, or is it going to be lighter at the base? It's really hard to tell. I might have to do both. Crazy as that sounds, might actually have to do that both ways. I'll catch you later, Al. Yeah, it's 103 here. And let's I'm gonna use like a little bit of my cadmium yellow. Ooh, maybe a little more. So this is my cadmium yellow light here. And I think now it might just be time to figure out exactly what's going to happen with some of these. Whatever the heck these things are. I just don't know. I want them to be quite that bright, or do I want them to be darker underneath or lighter underneath? I don't know yet. Really don't know yet. This is again, the nice thing about the oils is that I don't have to decide right away. Still trying to determine with the quick dry white if that's really going to have any impact aside from, well, okay, quicker drying time, but what's it going to do with the paint? Is it going to make it slide around more? That sort of thing. That's what I'm curious about. I'll catch you later, Cosplaying Kitten, and thanks again for hanging out for a bit. Keep me company here late, early on a Friday. But hopefully I can catch your next stream. I know that's usually in the evening, more about 5-ish or so, 4 or 5-ish, something like that. And just keep grabbing a little bit of that off it, because I don't want it to be the same green everywhere. I want it to have a little difference. You can see here there's a little bit more of the yellow involved, and so I'm kind of liking that instead of it being light on the top side of it, lighter underneath. But I don't know if we can do that absolutely everywhere. Also have to think if the cloak here is going to have that purplish tone to it, well, if the green has some yellow to it, there could be some weird things going on. Things could start turning grayish when those two hit each other. I think we might want to also have a little bit of some green in here too. Hey, TechnoCat, how are you doing? Yeah, we need to just a little bit here. Think of that as just a pinch of object source lighting there. Why not? A little here and there, that can't hurt. What about this stuff here? Let's start to think about some of these elements. Also got to really start considering how thick is some of this going to be. So what I'm kind of doing here is I'm sort of playing a double game here, where here the object source lighting, or the spell effect there, it's actually darker on the top, lighter underneath, but down in some of these areas it's going to sort of reverse itself, and it will be lighter up here and darker underneath. I'm feeling that because of the way you got that all the bones and stuff underneath. I think that might help those to translate a little bit better. Sometimes you want to do an effect a certain way, but then the sculpt just kind of says, nope, this here, I'm in charge here. This is how it's going to go. And we can still go way lighter than that. But not all of these things, like I said, I'm not going to use this more yellowish green everywhere. I'm just going to use it in certain spots. Also thinking about, see, we're just going to plop it right there. I don't have to do anything with it right now. Don't have to do a darn thing with that. I know Armored Wolf and I, we were having a little bit of a conversation earlier, just in general about the Ossiarchs, and I just I kind of am getting that feeling as I paint these, well, as I was putting them together, that also, but as I paint these guys, I'm just getting this feeling like I got my Tomb Kings back, which that was not a fun situation for a long time. It's just feeling like my Tomb Kings just got erased from me. And I kind of feel like I got my Tomb Kings back here. Now, these guys, they really don't have necessarily the Egyptian vibe that the Tomb Kings did, which I mean, that's no big deal. I'm not sad about that. It's kind of an interesting. It forces me to think a little bit differently. I can't just basically turn them into Ossiarch Tomb Kings. That I have to think of something a little bit different for them at least. So we're just see we kind of changed the color here. That gets to be a little bit more of a bluish color there. And then we'll have to go back in. There's all that bone that we're going to have to deal with there too. We'll have to deal with that as well. Now, so Armored Wolf, you were 100% correct on the larger kits like these here. There was there's nothing left over. There's just a slew of empty sprues. Now, obviously the infantry is different because, well, there'll be spears, there'll maybe be some different heads. So I was expecting maybe at least one of the spell things where they'd say, okay, you can do this or this, and if you do this, then these other things are just left over. But oops, that's not the phthalo green right there. Okay, good to know. I'm gonna have to get some more phthalo green out here. I mean, that's okay. I think because the first kits that I put together were, well, what do you call it? The infantry stuff. You're just bound to have more bits left over from infantry stuff. So we're using the quick dry. I have no idea what effect that's really going to have. Yeah, aside from, well, maybe it dries faster. I don't know if it's, again, can't really tell the difference between this and my regular titanium white at this point, just in how it handles in general. But I'm going to try and get some of this a little bit lighter here too. Before we actually go over the top of this with some darker green, yes, they're down here actually. There's actually going to be some areas where the darker green goes over the top of it. And it's just kind of easier at this point just to kind of shove the lighter green in here right now and then just do the darker stuff over the top. Okay, that's bone there too. Do some more of our lighter green here, but I'm just always going to have the paper towel on hand here. There's still plenty of, oh gosh, what would you say? I mean, there's still plenty of the kind of that opportunity to do some of the stuff I did with the Tomb Kings, the different metal colors. There's obviously still plenty of skeletal things going on, plenty of things, glowy things, right? Lots of spell things, very magical kind of base type things. I'm gonna go see here. If I'm gonna put all that orange and yellow and stuff up here. Those greens that go up on top here, they've got to be a whoops. I'm just gonna get some phthalo green out here before I just keep constantly reaching for that little bit of black there instead of actual phthalo green. So hopefully that works. Thin this down, and I'm just going to start thinning this down here even more because I do believe to get some of this to stick here. And I'm thinking of also going, yes, lighter green, but I can only do 1 or 2 brush strokes of that, and that's it. See, that got to be very, very direct with it. Here, let's do some more. Yeah. Look what that's going to do, and then we can even just sneak a little bit of it onto some of those bones there. And look at that. We haven't, haven't had actually chance to do object source lighting just on bone like this in quite some time. Ah ha ha, yeah. Look at that. Now you can see with that darker, that yellow that we put in, it's already starting to look dark, even though not too long ago it was looking like a highlight. Ah, look at that. We're going to keep moving around in this entire figure here. We don't let ourselves just get trapped in one spot or just doing one sort of an effect, right? We just keep moving around all the time, constantly shifting, constantly changing. Oh, what the heck? We need to allow for a little bit of lighting in here. And we can certainly go much brighter too. And this is, when you compare it to that white, it's nowhere near white. I mean, not even close to it. Ah, so here we've got more of the yellowish green going on. I think we're almost, that carries into this cloak further than I thought. We'll just let that carry down into the cloak. So liking that yellow there, that's kind of nice having that. And as I said, we're going to also be doing some darker glazes on this too. We can't just be adding only lighter colors. We did try to work hard to establish some dark things too early on. You can see how that the oil's just letting me do some really fun blending here. Makes that object source lighting so much easier. And just think of this across an entire army. If this big old dude is happening so fast, just imagine figures that are, I mean, basically whole skeletons that are just this one area. I mean, this one guy here is probably 6 or 7, 8, 9 skeletons worth of painting. And you can see how fast this big old dude is going. Can only imagine how much faster some little bitty tiny skeletons would be going. Now out on the end here, out on the end of this the end of that glow, again, not quite so sure how light do I want that to be. Do I want it light on the outside or inside, dark on the outside? We'll try something here. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that instead. So that means we're going to, again, change some things up here just a bit. It's best to change these things sooner rather than later. Yeah, definitely preferring the lighter colors down inside. And I know that's not necessarily the most accurate way to phrase it, but I might even change it. Here's a little bit of the yellow in there too. Go back and watch some of the creature caster stuff. You can see me doing a very similar thing. I gotta watch. Now I gotta start watching where I put my fingers. Because I felt something wet when I just stuck my finger on that. I have no idea what it was. Ah, look at that. We're just messing with the pre-glaze. That's all we're working with there. We're just adding this stuff on top of that little crazy pre-glaze that we did. And already getting some really fun results out of it. And it'll be really fun getting back up into the rest of him. I'm also just kind of letting this stuff, again, not going to dry, but just letting that color set as much as I can there. Now these guys here, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take some of the indigo blue here. I was thinking about messing around with the Prussian blue on this here, but I think I'll just save that. Who knows, maybe we use that on our Necrons. So I'm just gonna changing what's going on with those. Maybe they're, instead of being maybe they're more obsidian or something, just a different type of metal or whatever. That gives them a little different look right there. And we're also going to have to keep thinning down our paint here. Let's get a little bit of our yellow. Little touch of yellow in there. Not too much. Wow, that's significantly brighter. I didn't think it would be that much brighter than what's there. I mean, it's okay. I need the kick there anyways, but wow. And then under here again too, we have to figure out exactly what's supposed to happen with some of this. Now we're going to go take this, go over here. We got some spell effect stuff to do here on the ye old cloak again. And this is where, I don't know, maybe I do some stuff like this here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to throw this stuff on here. We let it sit there for, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. And we can take our, remember our Mr. Blending Brush. We haven't forgotten Mr. Blending Brush. We got to give him something to blend first. So that's why we're just going to do this. And then we'll come back in. Think of it almost a little bit like some kind of marble or whatever. See that? Blends it in real easy. No, and any brush can be a blending brush. And these crazy triple zeros here, the cheap poor man's Series 7 brushes, they really do take a pounding. Now take a look at, say, him here, and let's for sure look at it. And again, this is part of the latest Patreon. Well, yeah, one of the two latest Patreon series, because I've got two running right now. So think of what he looks like, and let's take a little trip back into the past here. This is 2013 through 2014. And this is, as we call it, this was a wee little project right here. That's not the whole army. Most of that was converted slash sculpted from scratch. You'll also notice, see, you got kind of that fluorescent paint going on. Look at how you got all the different metals. The whole story of this army was that they were tainted by Tzeentch, and everything that was gold became like mercury. And look at this. There's magentas, greens. This is also, again, the first time I used the fluorescent paints. At least 7 painting pyramid tutorials came out of this. All the stuff you see on the top level there, with the exception of a couple of figures, were quite literally just scratch sculpted entirely. Your Colossus, your Hydrotartan, all of those, the objective markers, the Screaming Skull Catapult, the Carrion Birds, all that stuff sculpted from scratch. Some of it out of Sculpey, epoxy sculpt. So there's your old Tomb Kings, and well, basically these are the new Tomb Kings here. Oh, thanks, Felodius Monk. So those were certainly near and dear to my heart, and then suddenly the world blew up and they were gone. They didn't exist anymore. And that made me a touch sad, to say the least. Now I've got to go back in here again with the lighter green and a couple of I'm going to go back and get some fresh stuff here. It's also pretty darn thin. It's also pretty darn thin. Okay, it just about does that. And the idea was that I read in the Tomb Kings, we used to call them just army books at the time. They didn't really want to be dead. They even tried to eat food and stuff, and that was not very pleasing for them. So basically, the Tzeentch god comes along and kind of posing as something else and just says, I'll make you all real boys again if you just do a few things for me. And as soon as that deal is struck, as we get some, oh, let's see, we could still get lighter there. We're just using a thicker paint here, that's all. Thick over thin and vice versa. Look at that. Okay, well, that's starting to stand out. You can make that still. Look at that. Starting to bring out these, and these are not the lightest lights even now. Still not the lightest we can go. Can go definitely lighter than this. And you can read that story on the blog. There is, I do believe, something like 117 blog posts on the Tomb King army. There's even, I even did a story from the perspective of a Empire archaeologist who was there to debunk all of these myths about walking statues and skeletons and all this other kind of stuff. So yeah, that was my favorite story for any army, for sure. Yeah, as Armored Wolf says, we definitely conjecture that they will come back in some form in that old world. Now, I'm guessing that is still years away. Wow, this can really be brighter too. Wow, yeah. I mean, you could do dioramas with them. You could do, well, a regular army out of them. There's so many options what you can do with those. Now, we're going to get some lighter stuff going on here. On the ends of the metals here. I need to do the same on the other side. However, I think that's going to have to be our green reflective. There we go. It's metal after all, so I've got to think about these bright highlights here. Oh, I'm just going to carry some of this over here, and we'll see if, okay, well, we're kind of removing all the paint off of that skull. So note to self, don't really paint anything on that skull until you're pretty much done with all of this other stuff. Because you're just going to keep hitting that. It's one of the hazards of oils, I suppose. Oh, hey Mo, how are you doing? Well, I used to try and do these sort of late night streams all the time. It's just, well, for several reasons, I don't really get to do these much anymore. I will be, let's see, about, I don't know, 16-ish hours from now or something like that. I'll be streaming again. Let's see. So Carol's super packed up. I mean, or at the start of September, it still hasn't mailed. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. So hopefully you're doing okay there, Mo. We'll keep adding a little more of our lighter green in here. Yeah, the last stream that I did was, I do believe, on Saturday. No, wait, what the heck is today? No, it was Monday. That's right. Yeah, it was Monday. We were working on the. I don't even remember what we were working on. Working on something. I don't know. I painted miniatures. Could have been Lord of the Rings stuff. It could have been. Oh, it was the. That's right. It was these guys here. Yeah, we're painting these guys. And this is the one that we did with Payne's Gray. And this is the one that we did with the indigo blue here. So yeah, that was fun. No, yeah, because you have to be 7 hours ahead of us, I'm assuming. Seeing as how it's 2:49 here. I used to do more of these, but this is actually just usually a better time for me to just do my regular filming as opposed to trying to do the live sessions. Let me see if I can get just a scotch more of this almost lighter pinkish color going on here. Again, once the acting as a little bit of a foil to all of the green that's there. Don't want to lose the green, but this little touch of this pinkish red here, again, it's going to act as a nice little complement to that green. Here, let's get some of that going here on this joint. I don't know. Let's see if we can't just pop in a couple of more lights here. Let me see. I think, yeah, okay. That makes sense. I'm thinking, do I want some? Yes. Oh, what the heck? I'm just gonna see if we can't jump a little bit of this green over here on this side of his face. Yeah. I see that I'm going to have to move some stuff in this room here because I think there's a bunch of junk in front of the heater vent, which I do believe is trying to blow some hot air into the room right now. Now we're going to use this as a blending brush. So we don't want that big old straight line there. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is taking that and pushing this around and using it in a few different areas. Like that. Yeah, that is just the massive advantage of the oils, is that ability to slap a color on here and then just mix it to your heart's content. Get this a little lighter now. There, and then we'll just do the same kind of a blending routine here. So we got that blob there. We don't want a blob. We're just going to take this, get the paint out of the brush, sweep that right along the edge of his fingers here. Yeah, the stream on Monday is and Fridays, those are typically going to start somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 7 my time. Yeah, mostly because a lot of the other time is spent filming videos, rendering videos, and uploading videos, especially in those late night hours. It's just better for filming. And, oh yes, we need to get even more of this green in here because we got this going right next to it. We best have some more green right in here. And apparently that must be metal too. Okay, good to know. And we're not going to work on that cloak at all until we are sure we're not going to be working on this area anymore. Oh, let's see. Gary's asking, is there another? Do you always prime? Oh, no, no, no. It's prime. Oh, prime all the time. There is never no priming. It is always priming. But I might paint directly onto Sculpey, maybe. But yeah, there's always primer on the miniature. That is one thing that's definitely going to happen 100% of the time. And as always, it's the Badger Stynylrez primer. You know, I am just gonna let this get lit. Yeah. I tried doing it the other way. This way is just gonna be better. Now we are gonna take some of this yellow here too. Make sure we work some of this into here. And as we work our way back here, I think we will maybe even let a little of the yellow get into that and some of these. Now we've developed these a lot. We need to develop this stuff back here now too. Yeah, that definitely the Stynylrez primer for the win. Now I have no choice but to do that because, well, first of all, the paint would never really stick anyways. But since my stuff is intended to be used or it has to be shipped somewhere and it's being bought by somebody else, it really has to be as stable and as solid as possible. And I don't just do one layer of primer. This thing already has has at least 4 layers of primer. In some places probably 5 layers of primer. And if it's resin or a vehicle or something that I'm going to be probably handling with, because there's no base to pick up, it might even get more layers of primer. Oh, Lady B, we brushed on the Stynylrez primer for years because we didn't have airbrushes. We didn't have airbrushes, but we had Stynylrez. And actually, Kathy, she doesn't have an airbrush. She just brushes it right on, and it works just fine. It works just fine. Well, actually, there's a bunch of companies that sell brush-on primer that really doesn't brush on very well, which is intriguing. You would think brush-on primer would be easier to brush on, but that's not necessarily the case. My Rohan Army painting series, I think it was series 9 or something like that. Every single one of those was primed by hand, just brushing on the primer. I'm pretty sure my Sisters of Battle was also just brushing on the primer. In fact, I know it was because I got a couple of the bases sitting over here somewhere. Yeah, that was just Stynylrez brushed on there. So yes, you can definitely brush that stuff on. Okay, these, oh gosh, these crazy ones here, they're just driving me nuts. I wish that they continued the texture here, that it just would have been a bit thinner and not quite so thick. We'll just try and manage this here again by extending those things out. Let's see, really, I'm going to have a good look with the brush on. Yeah, like the Baron says, that the one-shot primer from Big Ammo is, I mean, it's Stynylrez primer. It's the exact same thing. It's just a different name and a different container. Which, the one thing when you start being part of the developing of products, you learn that there's not that many. There are very few companies that actually make paint, and it's usually the same overall company makes paint for a bunch of different companies. There might be differences in the formulation where one company says, well, we want it this way or that way, but the original paint, it's made by the same guys. We'll just continue this one again. We'll just continue these out to here. Let's get something that's a little bit of our lighter reddish color here. How's about we let's have some fun here with a little bit of our yellow, mixing it into, ooh, that's kind of an interesting dull magenta there. I have no idea what effect that's going to have out here, but we're going to find out. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Where's my Ossiarch here? Because, yeah, see what we did there on his, that's that. We're trying to get some of that same stuff going on here. Oh, hey, Steela, how are you doing? Yeah, I think, well, we started 3 hours and 23 minutes ago. And as always, this guy had no paint on him whatsoever when we started. I mean, that's just par for the course, right? All right, so we went with the lighters. Now we're going to hit this the other way. We're going to go with some of our burnt umber here. And because the other thing it's going to do is make what's down here look a little bit lighter as well. But I'm going to keep going into this. I got to keep going back and getting fresh burnt umber. Ooh, there we go. See how that shadow here is really starting to... Here, maybe I'll get rid of some of the brushes here that are creating a weird background for that. Let me see. I've invested way too much in my acrylics, more than I should have. Oh yeah, Lady B, I hope that that those are handy. And one of them is really, really new. The one on the blues there. Now, unfortunately, just in my fatigue, the cobalt blue segment repeats itself, but, well, you can just fast forward through that. Now, let's find ourselves some lights here, and let's just, all these crazy little holes here, let's just do some stuff to just catch some light on that. Might even sneak some of my green over here. Oh, like this. There's an awful, there's a lot of holes in this here. There is an awful lot of holes in this. Oh my gosh, I knew there was a lot of holes, but now that I have to hit these edges, really seeing just how many holes there are. I normally like to kind of go darker around the edges of some of these things, almost like they're kind of stained as well, and not just a bunch of highlighted holes like this, but I think given all of the object source lighting that's been going on, maybe we need to do that. Ah, okay. There's tagged all that. That I got the special tag on the mail. Yeah, I never really had that much acrylic paint, so it wasn't that big a deal because all I had were the Reaper Clear and liner paints, and I had a few other kind of chosen things, and that was about it. And obviously I still have those. Those aren't gone. Now we're making this a ooh, not maybe not quite that. That might be a little bit on the bright side there. Oh, hey Gallo Fire, how you doing? Yeah, I'm just having some fun here with the Ossiarchs. This is it's essentially me reclaiming my Tomb Kings, which is kind of neat because they were quite unceremoniously taken away from me, and I'm just starting to feel like finally I'm getting those back. Especially being able to do stuff like this, because this is very much like what I did with the Tomb Kings. So it's nifty to be able to do this again. Alright, what the heck? I'm going to just try and get some of this down here too. If a color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. So let's do a couple little things down here. Where's my... Ah, there it is. I mean, for me, there were very specific reasons why the oils took over. Obviously, for other folks, it's different needs. I mean, it's just to me, it's so much fun. I just love using them. All right, here I am gonna just take a little hint of my indigo here. And we've got this crazy edge here. Well, guess what? That all just kind of gets blended away. Look at that. That took no time at all. We can do some rust and other things on that if we really feel the need to. We're going to take this green highlight here and we're going to push that, soften this. I just kind of had to wait a little bit on that. Yet we're still seeing, okay, what exactly is the impact of that quick drying paint going to be? Where's my... There we go. We need a little Terra Rosa out there if we're going to do maybe some rust. Oh, thanks, Steel. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. I had no specific color scheme in mind for this, except that I did want it to be somewhat in line with the other Ossiarchs here. And also maybe have a little bit of reminiscence to the ye old Tomb Kings. Because Tomb Kings... Here, we're going to mix a little bit of umber in with our Terra Rosa here. I know it'll be a little difficult to see, but we're trying to get some rusty things going on with the blade here now. Like that. Now, we don't have our yellow ochre, but we have homemade yellow ochre. in the form of our brand new, genuine cadmium yellow. Oh, there we go. A nice little, see, it looks kind of like rust now. Now here, I think we need to get this a bit lighter, or darker, I'm sorry, before we can really have those rust effects really impact those. Okay, let's do some lighter stuff here on this coat. We might even do a little bit of a darker glaze. But look at this, folks. We done got ourselves a raid from Berserker Works. Hey, Berserker Works, how are you doing? Sorry that I've missed so many of your late night streams. So, folks, I'm sure you're already following Berserker Works, but maybe just do a double check there, because Twitch just has that weird tendency to unfollow things that you don't want to unfollow. So definitely be sure to check that out. Make sure you're still following him. Yeah, Mo, I will be painting some of the specialty stuff here on Twitch, because I can only do so much in the army painting series, because otherwise it would be 40 hours long. So I definitely, like, I painted some of the sisters here on Twitch, and, well, I'm painting some of the Ossiarchs here, because this is the army painting series. But stuff like this, specialty things like this, yeah, definitely will be painting some of those on Twitch. Now, Berserker Works, I'm having fun here. Obviously, our first day of October, just, well, painting some spooky things like some Ossiarchs. And just having a blast doing this because, well, like I've said a few times tonight, I kind of feel like I'm starting to get my old Tomb Kings back. I mean, it's not the same thing, but there's some nifty stuff here to be done. Now we're taking this. This is a much darker yellowish green that we're starting to throw in here now. Oh, what the heck? I might let some of that get out onto his face here a bit. We'll just kind of push that in here. And where's there? That's my that's the cadmium yellow light. Mixing that with our phthalo green here. Oh, thanks, Berserker Works. Hopefully you were able to get some good stuff done on your stream there. I know it's not always easy getting stuff done on stream. Whoa, that's what we need here. We need more of this yellow green. As much as I love all the pale green, this has some impact to it. I can't wait to see what the actual, just real, true, genuine cadmium yellow is going to have when I do things like this. I think it's going to have a significant impact. More of this over here too. Yeah, why not? But I do like to have that bluish green over there too. So there's so much of it going on, we can have that variety. Let's see. I was kit bashing some weird robots. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that is. Well, we've been talking here, at least earlier tonight. We were talking about doing the live streaming of Lord of the Rings games and such. Just because, well, it would probably be more entertaining for me. Now, I wouldn't necessarily always be able to acknowledge what's going on with the chat, depending on where the machine is. So all that's got to be worked out yet. Well, that, and I need about a 100-foot long cable to get the internet connected down there. Unless I really radically move some things around in the house. Alright, I'm gonna even get some of this. Again, that's my yellowish green. It's more interesting to have this variety, the two different kinds. Yeah, Stila, that I for whatever reason, I kind of was thinking that those were more expensive colors, and then I realized, well, no, they wouldn't be in. Well, they're in a bunch of different starter sets. So now, in some of the cheaper starter sets, they tend to be labeled as hue, like phthalo blue hue, as opposed to the actual phthalo blue. So there can be a difference. Here, they're gonna. Yeah, we're gonna throw just a little bit more of the yellow into some of these areas down here, just for the heck of it here. And then I got to decide what's going on all in there. Am I going to just do darker glazes, or am I going to do some? I'm going to start off with some lighter stuff. We're taking this well, quick dry yellow apparently, or quick dry white. Sorry. We're just going to pop ourselves some lighter highlights here. I'm not going to necessarily go with the bone color there. There's just so much of the green around it. It just makes sense. Where's the... We'll just use this here. Here, let's use some of our barite green. Good enough. Get back to our lighter green here just to get a couple of these, some of the bone-ish shapes. A little bit lighter there. Couple of more here. And I'm just going to have to leave that. There's some stuff down here that also needs to be lightened up. Oh, you know, I'm going to maybe try and get a little bit of the yellow down in here if I can. And trying to balance the yellowish greenish glow versus the bluish greenish glow. And then just how light does that get? Because if it's as light as his eyes up here, we are taking the viewer way down here, a place where we don't really want their eye to be lingering. I mean, even though we've got this nifty stuff like all the skeleton down here and all of his little messed up equipment and stuff. Now with the having the object source lighting hitting this, I don't necessarily need to have lots of rust there. But I am going to have a little more light on this side of his sword blade for sure. And I'll use this as a bit of a blending brush right here. There we go. I don't know how visible that was, but that really did make a big difference on that sword blade. Catch a little bit more of his skeleton there. Oh, his helmet could use a little bit there and there. Back to this lighter green, and we'll just, there we go. I think we can go even a little bit lighter on this point. There, there. Heck, might even let a little bit of that yellow work its way into this. And I can use my finger to blend things as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I guess we better get some more green under this skull over here, because I see there, yeah. Alright, let's just get this in. I just didn't have a chance to, there was some water effects material I was going to use to kind of extend the glow or extend this part down over the base. I may still do that after the fact. Might still do that later. Alright, I'm just going to smooth this out here. There's my blending brush. And once again, we'll just use this to fade all those colors real nice. I might still try to make that lighter. And you can see it's pretty much almost a dry brush even now still. I know that's something we talk about at the beginning all the time, but even now, still thinking about that being almost virtually a dry brush. Oh yeah, the Lady Olander Mo. I've got one of those here, and I was gonna. That's hopefully something that I can get prepped here for our month of October and our nice spooky Halloweeny type stuff. And well, it would certainly make a fantastic piece for oils, no doubt about that. Well, let's see. We've got some new paints in here. We've got some Prussian blue. Yeah, I mean, we'll name this Frederick right here, Frederick Blue, because, well, reasons. Here, let's hit ourselves some more of this lighter green here. Again, it's got to be relatively dry. We'll also see what happens with that Gamlin Silver. I mean, who knows? Maybe it works so well it gets its own nickname. At least that's what we're hoping. We really do hope that that works very, very well. I know I'm hoping. Okay, what is going on? I will maybe. There's a little bit of my cadmium, my true cadmium yellow deep here. Let's see what we can. No, I'm gonna actually put a little bit of the white into that. Really make that bright. Yeah, still the Gamlin Silver showed up, and much to my great joy, it is much more like the MiG Ammo Silver, and it is not nasty like the Winsor Newton Silver was. Which means, so now when I go to do the Necron color test figure over the weekend, because this is my new army painting series, I just posted up the basing episode tonight. We'll be able to directly compare the oil brusher metallics to the Gamlin, and that's going to be sensational, I think. I mean, at least I think there's still going to be a difference between the two. I also have I made my own little oil brusher. Obviously, I thinned it all down. Yeah, that's our cadmium yellow with just a little bit of white into it. And here's our off-white yellow. Now, also, right now, this is pretty darn thick here. This is really thick because I think that's what I need to make it stick here. Yeah. And now we're just trying to focus the eye here. There's so much other stuff, yes, for the eye to get focused on, but we really are trying to keep them locked into the place where we want them to be. A little bit Terra Rosa now. We had some of that red in here early on. Something that would complement all the greens that we've done in the area. We don't want to lose those greens. We also don't want it, if that gets too bright, or too light, I should say, the eyes, they won't have that glow anymore. And you can't have all that light and then have the light set into the eye and expect anything to actually happen there. It's not going to work. Yeah, this is for the heck of it here. We're going to put some of this bluish gray right here. Yeah, that's bone, but we did the very same thing on our Ossiarch, on our regular guys, and that definitely made a nice difference in the bone color, so it wasn't all just the same. We need to get some more highlights on these guys as well. That's sort of really bright. That thing that really gives it the shine. Like that. Ooh, this, oh gee whiz, this certainly needs it right here. I hope, yeah, you can see that. And where's my AnyBrush blending brush? Get the paint out of that thing, and now we're just going to take this. See, we got that weird, nasty line. Well, guess what? See how that's all faded real nice? You can do that so easy with the oils. Again, timing is going to be a thing. If you do that too soon, or if you've got too much paint piled on in an area, that might not just go quite as smoothly as you want. But those are the things that you learn. We'll do some more over here.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Mr. Noger. I appreciate that. So does Gandalf. Ooh, now that we've got this smaller brush here, let's see if we can do some other little spell streaky type things here. Maybe not. Ooh, here's some more over here. Okay. Man, if I just look at that and say, nah, that's just not working for me. Even after it dries, I can just take another color, paint it right over the top, and it'll be so easy to just blend that, even with all the oil paint dry underneath. There's just so many options with the oils. So we didn't do much over here, I can see. Let's resolve that. Oh, there we go. So where's that green go? I was just using that. Blending brush here, because we don't want those to be so pronounced. This is where we don't wipe them out completely. What we do is we just manage those a bit. Like this here, we don't really want that so bright. We'd like a suggestion of it, at least at this point. That's all I'm looking for, is just a suggestion that it is there. And we've got a couple of those on the interior. I don't think we're going to really brighten those up any more than we have to. I think I do need to catch a... Yeah, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to catch a few edges under here. Yeah, we need to catch a few more. Obviously closer to this area, or at least as close to that as possible. I think you can see that now. And we'll hit a couple of these crazy little. There's so many of these holes here. We'll put some lights on these guys. Again, my normal thing would be to kind of make these more stained or whatever, but he's a spell effect here. He is supposed to kind of be glowing. He's a summoned spell. Hence the brighter colors, the object source lighting, all that kind of stuff. If he was just a regular dead guy, maybe it'd be different. Oh, hey, Pagan Samurai, how are you doing? I hope that you are having it. Well, most likely, well, it's a good morning because it's morning everywhere now. Well, not necessarily, obviously, not down under. It would be afternoon there. Since it's 3:30 here, I'm guessing in Melbourne it must be around either 6:30 or 7:30 or something along those lines. And I don't have my phone out here, so I can't cheat and just look on my phone since I have the time zone set there. There's some stuff here that, yeah. Okay, let's take Mr. Blending Brush and let's move some of this stuff around here. Because that's looking not quite what I was looking for. Now let's get some of our darker green into here. Phthalo green. You know what? Let's make a sap green. We'll take phthalo green and the raw umber here, and we're gonna make that a bit more of a glaze type of thing. I know you can't really see exactly what's going on here. I apologize for that. But we have a situation where there's a lot of there's an awful lot of lights here. We're running a little short on some of the darks. Again, I don't know if you can see that cloak is kind of blocking it. That's why sometimes when I do this stuff live like this, I can't always show everything because it's just impossible to get on camera. I try to show as much as I can. Oh, hey, Kingfisher, how you doing? Ah, there we go. Why didn't I didn't get any sound. Interesting. Oh, hey, Electron, how are you doing? Ah, air conditioner's broken on the week where it's 105. Yep, folks, be sure to give Kingfisher Games a follow. Yeah, I had no sound on my end, unfortunately. But that doesn't necessarily surprise me, the way Twitch always does things that are weird. I'm going to just do a quick little double check to make sure I still have my sounds here.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
So there should still be sounds. Yeah, let's get you around here. Maybe. No, that's about as dark as that can get, actually, which is interesting. Let me see. So hopefully, Kingfish, you had Just hope you had a good stream there. I'm going to see if I can get some more darks into this. I'm going to take my indigo. I'm just going to go straight indigo here. Small little touch of our brown there. So I can get an additional dark into here. We're going to do that down here too. Oh yeah, that can be darker as well. That's good. I'm just looking at his crazy little claws here, his metal claws, darkening those up too. I might even grab some of this and try and darken up around his eyes. That's that indigo with some of my brown. Let's see, Kingfisher just wrapped up painting some bases for a project. Oh, yeah, well, as someone who got Tomb Kinged, yes, I know exactly what that means. And I'm trying to basically make the Ossiarchs here as close as I sort of can to the old Tomb King's army. Let's see, what did the... Oh, well, here. Well, we'll go there. Basically, it's going to show you one of my old armies here. This is my 2013 40k army here. So where are we? 1 second here. There we go. So this was my 2013 army that I took to Adepticon. And it was all Dark Eldar jet bikes and flying things and whatever these things were. And the raider right there, I think I had 6 grotesques riding in that thing. Boy, it would have been really nice to have the oils back then. Now there's the army as a whole. Oh, thanks, Electron. Though that thing that you see flying up in the corner there, that is that. Oh, what is that? The razor wing. That big old thing. See how small that looked? That's how big that freaking board is. That thing is huge. Oh, hey, Suicide Prinny, how are you doing? And well, while we're down here, let's see if we can find you the. Oh, there's the Tomb Kings. So that was my 2014 fantasy army at Adepticon. And I really, you can see where we did the brighter colors, the fluorescent paints, all that kind of stuff. Actually, oh, I could throw some fluorescent green on this guy. That just reminded me. And we did an awful lot of scratch building of things here. So all that stuff that you see on the top level of the Tomb City, all the objective markers, the carrion birds, all that stuff was scratch sculpted. The Hyro Titan, the Colossus, and all of the story of the army is told on all the pylons and all those inscriptions. So we had a lot of fun with that. Now I'm going to see if I can't... there we go. Let's see if I can get some of this out on the palette here. I think there's enough in here. There we go. Because the first time that I actually used the fluorescent green was on this one, that and the fluorescent orange. So this was done in oils. I think we painted this back in July. You can see some of that on the YouTube channel. I think I was able to save a couple of hours of that broadcast. So I think it is time for us to maybe see if we can get some of this fluorescent green in it and see if it actually has any real effect at all. I don't know if it really will.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, hey, Kapoo, how are you doing? Oh, and thank you for the subscription. Here, I'm just going to... with what's left of this here, we'll give you the toast there. Thank you so much.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you for the follow, Pagan Samurai. That is appreciated. Now, I think unlike the fluorescent orange, it does have about the same effect. And it is now it is also a much warmer green too. So we're gonna really focus on this where we wanted things to be maybe a bit on the warmer side with our greens. And we're also going to have to, we can't just brush this on. We literally have to almost stipple that stuff on there. Oh, thank Berserker Works. Let's see. They're waiting for some big nudes, needing positive vibes. Suicide Print, I hope that everything works out exactly the way that, or turns out exactly the way that you would prefer it to. Because the waiting is not always the most fun thing. Sometimes things are okay to wait for, and there's other things that you just let me know already. So no matter what, I hope it all comes out the way you would like it to. As we're just, we're going to add some more of that fluorescent green in here. Now, I'm curious to see also what happens when the cadmium yellow, like the real cadmium yellow, hits this. I think the result could be kind of dramatic. We'll find out soon enough. We are definitely going to try and sneak some of this up into the eye sockets if we can. Actually, I think this mixed with phthalo green could be pretty darn interesting too. Good. I think you can see what's going on there. Yeah, that's having an interesting effect right away. Oh, here we go. We'll get a little bit of our phthalo into here, not phthalo, some of our fluorescent green into here. Just because it's interesting. It's not a really light color as far as just light and dark goes. It's a very intense color for sure. So I'm going to drop some more of that into here. Yeah, I think that's gonna, that's definitely bringing some intensity into the even more, even though it's relatively on the darker side of things. I mean, that is not a light color whatsoever. Here, I'll put it next to the white. Look at that. It looks dark. And yet, it's being pretty darn forceful. It's having an impact. I think we're starting to get some undulations and variations in those greens there, which is good. Oh, hey, Angry Ham, how are you doing? Oh, and Crafton, thank you so much for the kind words. Yeah, it's really fun for me to finally get to dive into the Ossiarchs here and basically get my Tomb Kings back. Inktober. Yeah, we're gonna be trying to do some Orktober here. So I'm trying to just kind of gather up all kinds of different orc things and get some orc stuff assembled. We got some creature caster already assembled. We're gonna have some 40k orcs going on too, some Lord of the Rings orcs. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same over here again with my almost called it phthalo green. That's our fluorescent green. A little bit out there. Now, again, I'm going to be curious to see what happens when it mixes with something like an actual cadmium yellow here. It should make it a little more opaque. Now we'll see what happens with that opacity. So actually, yeah, it will cover. So that is one way to make your fluorescent green just have a bit more of a, again, that opacity. I don't want to put too much with the white in here. We will do some, though, as we got, pagan, let's see, what was it? I'll catch you later, pagan samurai. And Felonious Monk doing the gift sub thing. Whoop. He's like, I can't get those ones that go off camera. He's like, man, it either has to be wings or now it's ghosts. I don't like ghosts. He takes off. Let's see. I always meant like to create balance with the triangulation of the colors, including the base. Yeah, it's boy, I wish people would they almost like the base is always like the last thing. It's just kind of something they do just because they gotta do something on it. And I love making the base just a big part of the entire process. So it is possible. I can see here it is possible to be able to get that fluorescent green to still do some stuff. Now we're going to leave that be as cool as possible down there and let those warms really, wow, that's really, it doesn't necessarily quite show up as much on camera as I wish that it did, but man, there's some substantial difference now that's happening up here just by adding that little bit of the fluorescent green there. And that this is getting some punch to it now. I'm going to throw a little bit of that into the eye sockets here if I can. Now, it's not really going to show up quite so much, but here, you know what? I'm going to take a little more touch of this right there. And I like that yellow that's going on there. And again, now that it gets cool down here. Oh, and thanks again, Felonious. Yeah, Angry Ham, I've got the bird that's ready to go, but I quite literally ran out of super glue trying to make a base for it. Like, this was the last base that I could make before running out of super glue. So I just made this one here, and there were still some parts of it that were drying as I was painting this, especially some of the paste that was down in some of the recesses. So yeah, here we go. Now that's starting to, yeah, you can start to see. Now we're getting a little bit, oh yeah. This just needed to be a little bit, if it's going to have that much impact everywhere else, this needed to be a bit light. Now we're getting somewhere with that. Electron, I don't have any of the fluorescent blue. All I have is the green and the yellow, or the orange, sorry. Sadly, now this is the acrylic right here. The fluorescence in blue is always the least effective of all of the fluorescent colors. It just kind of is that way. The most effective is always orange. Then sort of yellow and green are the next two most effective. And even, oh no, magenta is also another really effective fluorescent paint. But the fluorescent blue, oh my gosh, it never really does very much, unfortunately. And there was a couple of explanations that people were able to give me as to why the fluorescent blue is always just kind of a disappointment. Okay. Yeah, there is definitely some of the Egyptian violet, ironically of all things. Now, the one thing it's difficult to do is to really kind of zinchify my Tomb Kings or my Ossiarchs here in the way that I did my Tomb Kings, because, I mean, the whole story that I had for the Tomb Kings, I still, that is still one of my, it is still definitely my favorite army story so far, and yeah, I can check that out on the blog. Now, I'm going to see if I can't get this to be, hit this with this fluorescent green here a little bit. All right, there's a little of that. Maybe now we'll just hit it with some of my off-white yellow. And now we've got to move some of these colors across here and just kind of clean this up. Boom, like so. Man, this is so much easier trying to do this. This diving down deep in here to the, wow, that interior, that would have been impossible with the acrylics without, well, having to do a lot of fix-up work. Yeah, here's a couple more. Boom, right there. Let me see. I think we, oh, how did you build up the skeleton? Oh, it's just, I don't know if you've, oh, you probably haven't seen the Patreon video. It's just a not Tomb King. It's a vampire counts. So it's just the body, well, the torso, the head, the arm with a sword. And that's all it is. It's literally just the torso, the head, and the arms. And you just kind of situate him so that he looks like he's actually just kind of there. He's looking a little bit peaked, obviously. Man, I'm going to carry that down just a little bit there. And over the top here. Sort of liking the effect that the fluorescents are having here. And of course, it's as I showed you those pictures of the Tomb Kings, that was the first army where I used the fluorescent paints. It is kind of neat that they do exist in the oils too. It took a long time to find those, that's for sure. It took a long time to find those fluorescent oil paints. Yeah, let's do a little more here. It's interesting. Now, it does make the phthalo green and white together look a little bit on the dead side by comparison. Now, I don't want this to be completely just all absorbed with the fluorescent stuff here. So I might go back over here to some of the phthalo green. And we'll just kind of do this the old-fashioned way here without necessarily relying on just the fluorescent greens. Yeah, there was, well, I did use the fluorescent blue acrylics a lot on my Tomb Kings. Basically there what you're doing is you're just mixing it with your regular blues and hoping to make your regular blues that much more punchy by comparison. That's about the best you can hope for. Looking for just, yeah, I'll hit this with it. Oh, yeah. We need to get a little bit of some lights on these bones here or whatever, if it's going to be that close to where our object source lighting is. Brighten up just a couple of those. And at the end of the right here, yeah. So we've really definitely punched up some of our lights on this for sure. No doubt about it. Oh, that's spell effect over there. Okay, we'll back up here a bit. Oh, what the heck? I am going to mix a little... Wow. Oof. I'm going to just mix some of the phthalo green with the fluorescent green there. That really increases the intensity there. And maybe this will mix in nicely with that. Let's grab something to use as a blending brush here. I think you can see what we just did. And we're going to take this lighter green and we're just going to push that into the other green that we just put down there. It's that sort of blind blending that I was talking about. It's just so much easier doing that. Getting in those really hard to reach areas with the oils. I'm going to see if I can sneak in some lighter, go down into the, again, into the recesses there, trying to make that just maybe have a little bit of a glow to it. I was just about to lighten something, but I'm actually going to go the opposite way here. I'm going to take some, we're going to respect the umber, we're going to go darker with that. Let's see, doing some terrain with acrylics. Actually, I'm looking forward to a time where I can do some terrain with the oils, especially some of the 3D printed stuff. Oh, that's what we needed too. Yeah, that's going to be some handy separation there. Yeah, just added some dark there, looking for some more contrast. All right, I've got my, yeah, we're going to leave the dark in place there. What about it? That's still our original pre-glaze up there. We had barely touched that up there. And it's sort of a kind of a almost like a grayish color there. Just I don't want to get too light with it. Just again something to show you that there's a little bit of shape there. We have plenty of stuff going on here. We still have our that orange in place there. Let's see what happens with what was that? That was a I think it was the cadmium yellow in this. No, it was that new brown. That's right. So it was that Williamsburg quinacridone brown, whatever, mixed with the mixed with my genuine cadmium yellow, and now we get ourselves some orange in here. That's doing it. Oh, let's see. I'm guessing the busiest painter on Twitch hasn't had a chance to test the AP anti-shine. Oh, through the airbrush? No, there's been nothing that would, well, actually, maybe this one. This one might be this would be a good test for it. This one might be the test. Again, for me, I would 100 times out of 90 just choose to brush it on. Actually, more like 200 times out of 90 times choose to just brush it on, because you're really just kind of you're just spending a whole lot of extra time with cleanup, and you're just kind of airbrushing it onto areas that you don't need to. Now I just got a new acrylic palette out, and you're attempting me to make the switch before the paint comes out. At Felonius, I will say this now, even no matter how it turns out, I much prefer just brushing the stuff on, because no matter what, you still have to clean your airbrush out, and there's just a whole bunch of things that even if I had the time for them, they're just too annoying for me to even want to do. Now we're going to get ourselves a little bit of contrast back here by using some of that yellow. And again, that's the actual genuine cadmium yellow mixed with, yeah. I mean, I'll spray it over the cloak here, see if it actually makes any kind of difference. Yeah, I can get, yeah, let's get some lighter things going on back here too. Why not? Now, I did some test minis with the oil when I touched the minis after they dry. Yeah, Angry Hand, that would definitely be, if they feel kind of oily, that would probably be a little bit too much paint because it really is. You do think, okay, I only need this much paint. Cut that down by 300%, and maybe you're at about the level of paint that you really want to be at. Because when I watch people use the oils, it is inevitable they are using somewhere between 3 to 7 times as much paint as what I'm using. And I'll look at that and I'll go, well, that's going to take a wee while to dry. And I hope that dries the way they want it to, because that's a whole heaping amount of paint right there that they got shoved onto that miniature. Oh, well, yeah. So here's one done completely with the oils, and that is way smoother than anything I can get with the airbrush, and no masking necessary. It's 1,000 times easier with the oils, and again, no need for masking or anything like that. You can see how nice and smooth all the marble effect is and everything like that. Oh, if you're talking about brush strokes with the brush ons, no, there never has been. I mean, all of these guys, I hit every single one of these with the brush on dull coat, and no problems whatsoever there. Yeah, just because you are using it super, super, super thin. Think of it like the oil paints. You are putting as little on there as you possibly can, because if you put too much on there, you're not going to run into brush strokes. What's going to happen is it's going to be shiny, because the anti-shine is not meant to be piled on there. Because there was one time in my haste, I just really slapped it on there thinking, okay, this will be great. I'll just slap it on here, and it turned out to be a little bit shiny where I just kind of piled it on. That is another reason why I like to brush it on, because I can control it completely. And remember, why would I don't really need to be doing too much of the anti-shine down here, or well, at least as far as protecting it goes. So again, I know people want to use their airbrushes and stuff, but when it comes to the anti-shine, I would strongly, strongly suggest just brush that on. I mean, I'll try it, and my feeling is that it's going to just be way more work for a less good result. I'm gonna get this just. Oh yeah, we need to get a lighter thing going on here too. Oh, there we go. Ah, see what that just did? Because yeah, I forget when that was. I was in a hurry, and I just really slapped the stuff on instead of just kind of being judicious with it the way I normally was. And then all of a sudden, some weird things happen. And you know how with the airbrush, where sometimes you're starting to spray it and it just kind of sprays too much? Well, guess what's going to happen with your anti-shine? But when you're just doing it with a regular brush, you got complete control, and it works. I did this, you know, I did this vehicle. I hit this with the anti-shine, just brushed it on here. So it'll work on larger surfaces too. Now, you're going to have to use a bigger brush, obviously. But then I'm always using that number 8 round craft brush anyways. Now we're going to get this just a little bit lighter here. Yes. Just need to pop a few more lights there. Let's see, I did the same thing where I made an oil wash and put too much on the miniature. It became all shiny. Yep. The matte versus gloss contrast. Now I will sometimes, let's see, where's something that's got a gemstone or whatever? I don't know if I've got, no, this doesn't have any real gems. Sometimes I will, well, even like maybe for the bottles or something like that, I might hit those with some glossiness because, or I think take a look at the creature caster thing with all the eyeballs, because that was one where I just hit the eyeballs with the gloss coat because the highlight followed the light. Whereas as soon as you paint in a light source like that or a highlight on an eye, you're stuck with that angle now forever. And sometimes, well, obviously if I do water effects, there's going to be that glossy versus not glossy contrast. So for sure, if I'm doing water effects, that is, and actually especially if I do water effects somewhere, I will just use the gloss stuff somewhere else because, well, now I've already introduced a glossy texture to something. So why not do some more? There we go. Now we've got our, I'm going to go back to some of my, was that the fluorescent green here? Boy, that just looks so dark. It's hilarious. But that can be the thing with the oils. It's just a color that looks dark can have some serious impact still. Let's get a little bit on some of these heads over here, or these skulls. I know you can't really see that. I'm just hitting some stuff here real quick. Where's my, there it is. There's my later version of that. And just for the heck of it, speaking of experiments here, I'm just gonna, no, okay, so that I'm just hitting some areas here where I know I use that quick dry white just to see, well, when does it really start having a noticeable effect? I guess it does. I guess there is a bit of an effect there. Okay. Let's see, seldom in real life it's the same as a matteness acrid across this entire thing. Oh, back to our fluorescent green here again. And sometimes the fluorescent paint, those will dry just a wee bit faster for whatever reason, not quite sure why. Yeah, the darkness of that, it's hilarious how much it's darker than the color that it's covering, but yet it's giving a brighter appearance than that color that it's covering, which is actually technically just a couple values later. Oh, we'll definitely get this. Oh, yeah, we have a whole batch of stuff over here that we've got to do some stuff with. Yeah, let's get some of our bright glowy green over here. Somehow we've kind of forgot about all this and all the craziness. I think I can still get a touch lighter though. That's still too much of the yellow. I mean, it does make it slightly more opaque. So, okay. Certainly want to get more here. Thank you so much for the host as she calls out the host to ride to ruin and the world's ending. There we go. The host with the most. It's Rohan. Thanks again, Shayna, for the host. And I really so much love having those guys on that little piece of illustration board there so that they can just run around and do horsey things like horses should do. Yeah, let's get a little bit more of our green in here. Ooh, more. Let's do more. Like there. I'm impressed with it's been a, man, I can't remember the last time I used the fluorescent green. It could have been as long ago as, say, July, or no. No, that's more like May or June or something. I'll catch you later. Let's see. Yep, I'll see you. See you next time. And yeah, I'm hoping to get well, my time anyway, somewhere between 6 and 7 Central for the next stream. Well, let's take some of our, again, the fluorescent green here. Just hit a couple of these areas. Do I? You know what? I'm gonna let.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Clawless Dragon, for the follow. That this guy apparently he has some kind of claw. Well, he has metal claws. He doesn't have natural claws. I don't even think when we were doing the was it the Corvus Cabal, I don't even think they had their own natural claws. They had all those metal ones. Let me see. I think no, I try and look when I can. Now that we actually had there's a little bit of dingy stuff that got into the fluorescent green there, but I think it'll still have a nice impact when it. Yep, it sure does. And like I said before, with the fluorescent green, you're gonna want to almost stipple that on as opposed to brushing that on. If you just brush it on, it's going to want to take away what you've painted there. And just on that little orc down there, we're just gonna try to get some more of our. Here, I'm gonna take some of that fluorescent green. We're gonna try and cool it down a little bit. I'm gonna just look for any old brush here. And we'll see if we can right here. I think I need to get some more lights on the wherever the ground is right here. There's just an awful lot of the bright stuff going on here. I think we need to brighten that up just a touch now. And as always, you can see just how dry that brush is. This is what I mean about people usually cranking out way too much paint onto that figure. Putting a lot more than is actually needed to get the job done. Speaking of some light here, let's pop a bit onto the underside of this. I know it doesn't look terribly dramatic there, but still need to get that light there anyways. Yeah. Need some down here too, but fortunately, some of this is color we put down there 4 hours ago or so. It's not dry, but it's a bit more stable, and we can just do something like that. But we're still picking up some of that purple there. You can see it right there on the brush. Okay, more here too. Yeah, I'm gonna get just a couple more touches on the underside there. Now, I'm just looking at the skull that's over here. Do I need to... I need to darken. I don't need to lighten anymore. I need to darken some things. That could be a bit on the trickier side. And I'm going to look for some darker green. Right in here. Because there's a... I don't want to keep lightening that, but if I just add this little touch of dark right here, see that? I don't have to glaze it on. I can just brush this on like that. Get the paint out of that brush. And then I can just do some blending here. Look at that. And this is why it's so much easier than an airbrush. There's no masking. There's no nothing. But it's going to give me something that is every bit as smooth as something that you would airbrush.